tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to demonstrate how to reset the password for my voice business for System Admin Tool, given that we have lost the password and we don't have SSH. SSH was not enabled for this my voice business on Server Manager. So the scenario that we have now is that we have lost our system password, we have lost our my voice business ESM, or what we call the System Administration Tool password. So we know the login ID, which I always call the username. So login ID is what I call username, because basically it is the same thing. It is what I call username. So when you hear me say username, I am referring to the login ID. So we know that our login ID is system, but we don't know what to put for password. We have forgotten it, or we have lost it, or somebody who knows the password has left the organization. They didn't tell us what password is what it was. So when we attempt to put some password that we think is the correct one, the system will reject, and then it will give us an error. Let's demonstrate that. We know that our login ID is system, but we don't know what password it is. So when we attempt to log in, it's going to throw this error at us. So remember that when you put in the wrong password 3 times consecutively, which means 3 times in a row, the system is going to suspend this account, and they are going to have to wait for 30 minutes before you can attempt to log in again. So each time you try to log in before the 30 minutes elapses, you are just prolonging the 30 minutes. So when you have attempted 3 times, just give yourself time, wait for 30 minutes, then come in and log in again, but make sure that you are now logging in with the correct password. So here we are going to demonstrate a scenario. There is a previous video where we reset the password, but given that SSH was enabled for in that video, it was enabled in that video, so everything was smooth sailing for us. But in this video, we will assume that SSH was not enabled in Server Manager for this controller. So what it means that we need to access the console. We must access the console for my voice business. But in this case, our controller is an EX controller, which does not have a serial port. So the serial port is what we would use to access a console if it was an MXE3, but this one doesn't have a serial port, so we can't access. So we will need to go through the EX side of the controller. And what do I mean by that? I will just show you what I mean. Just show you what I mean now. We are going to log on to the EX. So remember, when it is an EX controller, at high level, we've got my voice business as a virtual machine inside of an EX application, which means some kind of a VM application, which means the EX becomes the host, and then we got a virtual My Voice Business sitting inside there. So in our case, our My Voice Business is 192.168.1.2, and the EX controller is 192.168.1.3. So we need to view the console of My Voice Business from the EX side. If you are well versed with the ESXi or Hyper-V, this will make a lot of sense, where we'll have to connect a console to the host in order to view where we open a console on the host to view the VM. So in our case, we are just going to view it through the EX controller. And how are we going to do that? We are going to do that by logging onto the EX, by connecting onto the EX and enabling the console. So let's go ahead and do that. My EX was 192.168.1.3. I enter, and it's public. It is we log in there. Once we are logged in, we are going to go to System and VM. And here we are going to see our VM, My Voice Business VM. It is this one. This is our My Voice Business EM VM virtual machine. This one. And then there is where it is written VNC ID. So you can see for My Voice Business it is -1. So when it is -1, it means console is disabled for My Voice Business. When it is like this, we cannot open the console for My Voice Business. It is disabled. For us to enable it, we have to change this -1 to this -1 to 1. So we change from here to 1. So let's go ahead and do that. So we change this to a 1 and we apply. Notice now that it has given us this response. Status: need to restart VM to apply configuration. So for this VNC ID of 1 to take effect, we need to restart the VM. But once we restart the VM, which is My Voice Business, we are going to disrupt service for the duration of the My Voice Business starting up. So this is what, if you are in a busy environment, you might want to consider doing this procedure at a convenient time, probably after hours. But just bear in mind, the takeaway point is that it's going to interrupt service. So you must do this at a convenient time, because the My Voice Business is going to reboot. So during the time that it is down for the reboot, phones will not be working. So in our case, this is a lab system, so we can go ahead and restart the VM right now without any fear of interrupting anyone. So we restart it by clicking onto here. this one, which looks like this. This is what we click on to restart, or we can just stop and start. And this is the stop, this is the start, this is the restart. So we have clicked on this and our controller is restarting now. Because I'm sitting next to it, I can see that it is restarting. So let's give it a moment to finish booting, then we will continue. So we can have a look at the status here. My voice business state. This is the state it is saying started. So we are going to use a VNC tool or application of your choice. In my case, I am going to use this application. It is called VNC Viewer. You can also choose your own choice. You are welcome to choose whichever one you prefer. So I am going to use this tool to connect to the EX IP address. Port 1. So this one, you remember, is the VNC ID, which we have assigned here. It is this VNC ID that we have assigned here. So that is the one we are saying EX IP address :1 on the VNC. On our VNC application, we are going to come here and we are going to enter the IP address of the EX controller IP address. Take note that this is not the My Voice Business IP address. This is the IP address of the EX controller. Remember, we said we got our EX controller here. We got MIVB as a VM, and we've got EX controller at high level. This is just at high level, and we said this is an IP address 192.168.1.2, and this is IP address 192.168.1.3, which is hosting the My Voice Business. So we are going to take this IP address and put a :1 and take this entire thing, and we are going to bring it here. So what it then means that we are going to end up here with 192.168.1.3:1. Let's go ahead and do that. (192.168.1.3). We are going to want to go to VM1, and we connecting to 192.168.1.3:1. Let's see if we manage to connect. Okay, it has failed to connect. Let's check if we really started our VM. So let's just stop the VM. Let's stop it, and here on the state it is saying stopping. Let's see when it has stopped. Let's wait for, let me refresh so that we can see what it is going to say. It is still stopping. Let's wait for it to write stopped. We should have it written stopped, so let's wait for it to stop. So let me refresh. Okay, it's saying stopping. Let's give it a moment to stop. It should write stopped here. So let me refresh. It's still stopping. Let me refresh again. It has stopped. Now that it has stopped, we should then start it. We start it by coming to this part here. We click the play button to start it. And we click on start. And you can see status is now starting. So let's wait for it until it says started. Let's just refresh again. Now it is saying started. Let's try to connect the VNC again. And connect the VNC. Yes, it is connected. You can see we are now seeing the console for the My Voice business. And the My Voice business is rebooting. So I've just cancelled that application record window, and this is the console. Now we are in the console. This is where we should log in with the root and password, and the root login, the root username and password. So the requirement is that we should know the root password. The root password is that the one that would have set in Server Manager. So if we don't know the root password, okay, let me just put some prerequisite here. It is required that, number one, we should know the root password. And normally the root password is what goes hand in hand with the Server Manager, password. So we should know the Server Manager password. Ideally, the root and admin password are the same. So we should know the Server Manager password, which is the username admin, and password, which is also the same password for the root. So if we don't know the root password, then we cannot go ahead and reset the password for the MIVB ESM without knowing the root password. So we must know if you don't know the root password, and we also don't know the My Voice Business ESM password, it means we must start by resetting the password for the for the root password. Must start by, and there's a separate video on how to reset the root or admin password for the server manager side. So watch out for that video, look for it, because if you don't know these passwords, then you cannot open the console for my voice business, because it's going to ask you for the root login, as you can see here. So let's progress. Let us progress. Let's again open VNC here. Yep. So we are going to log in as root, and our password, root password. And now we are logged in, and we are going to enter the same commands that we entered in the previous video, which is mcdDebug, reset login password, and we click on enter. And so once that happens, we can close. We no longer need our terminal. We can close that. Okay, before we close, let me just show you that it is success. The password has been successfully reset to the default password of password. So because of that, we can just exit the console here. We can just log out, and then we close there, and we don't need the EX controller. We close it. We go back here where we didn't know the password. We'll refresh it. We will log in with our default password of password. I am typing here the word password, which is what we have defaulted it to. That is what I've written here, and I am going to log in. And because we have defaulted the password, it's going to prompt us again to change the password to the password that we require. So I'm going to put again the old password here as password, and I'm going to put a new password of my choice and submit. And it is telling me that I've successfully changed the password, and I am going to be logged in. I will log out again, and I will log in again with the new password that I have set after logging in with the default password. There you go, I've logged in again. So just to recap, we have lost or forgotten the MIVB System Admin Tool password, and we had not enabled SSH on our controller on the server manager, so we couldn't use the procedure of using SSH to reset the password. So we had to get onto the console of the MIVB as a VM on the EX controller, and then that's where we went and reset the password. And it was important that we knew the root password for this to be successful. So that was all for this video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.